Hey, good morning and welcome to Jack's Tech Corner and Photography Weekly. This is episode number 63 for October the 7th, 2012. Coming up in today's show, FX, meaning full framed, or DX, meaning cropped frames. What kind of camera do you have? Does it matter? And is it going to make any difference in your pictures? We're going to take a look at that this morning to see what the difference is between these two, so we'll all be a little bit more educated on that subject. Also, do you need a contract? Do you? Are you a professional photographer? I don't know. Do you get paid to take pictures? If you do, then you may need a contract and you might want to be listening to that part of this show. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to have our tribute to our textures and patterns assignment. And we'll be bringing that up for you here in just a little while. So let's get started here this week with Photography Weekly, episode number 63. Okay, well, hey, good morning to everybody. It's great to see everybody piling in here this morning. We're going to give the official shout-outs here now because we got everybody starting into our virtual classroom this morning. So come in the doorway there, have a seat, and get ready for this lesson today. This is going to be a lesson, and then I got a little bonus for you, like a show and tell here towards the end of the show, and I'll show you that. And I'll show you how that actually works and what the piece of equipment is. And don't worry, for a few of you out there, it's one of those pieces of equipment that's under $10. So it's valuable to have in your bag. And we'll look at that in just a little bit. So let's say good morning here, first of all, to Andy Taylor, Fabian, Flyer here, Dina, Jake the Snake, Jessica, Jody, Mike, and Serena. Good morning to everybody out there. I'm glad you're able to stop by this morning and join us here. Remember, it's because of you that this show even exists. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't even bother doing these things, right? We would just be out doing whatever we do on Sunday afternoons or mornings here, wherever it may, or whatever time it may be where you're at. So we're going to get started here. But first, let me throw this out there since I did talk to Fabian yesterday about this. If you have Lightroom 4 installed on your computer, and if you also have Photoshop CS6, what Fabian has found out for us is if you're opening a raw image in, let's say you're going from Lightroom, you're going to open a raw image in CS6. What happens is you can get this message that says the raw 7.2 software is not compatible with the 7.1 software in Photoshop CS6. So you get that little error message, and you can check it to never show this message again, but it is pretty annoying that you can have, the Camera Raw 7.2 in Lightroom, but they didn't make it yet for Photoshop, so that is bogus. And thanks, Fabian, for pointing that out there. I know we talked back and forth last night, and I tried to update mine, and it didn't do anything different. So you're exactly right and dead on. Okay, so with that said, we're going to go ahead. We'll let you guys continue in the chat room. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with this lesson that we want to talk about. Get back here to my notes. Now, today what we're going to talk about is, first of all, we're going to take those out of my ears because I hate hearing myself after that intro. Once the intro is over, I'm good to go. So what we're going to start talking about today is FX versus DX, or Canon's HPS-H versus HPS-C. And we're going to talk a little bit about these different types of cameras here and tell you exactly what the differences are and how to look for these differences. The reason I brought this up is because the consumer grade full frame cameras, the consumer grade FX cameras are coming out. They're starting to show up here more and more. And I want you to be familiar with it to know exactly what to do with these cameras, or if you need to buy them. That's the whole thing. Do you really need the camera? Do you need to spend that extra $1,000 for a full frame if you're already shooting one of the cameras that we shoot now? And you may, in fact, have a full frame. I know a couple of you do. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, an FX, or a full frame camera. We're going to look at some samples here, so don't run off. Don't ever think we're above you here. You're going to be seeing this somewhere in your photography career, so just hang in there. So full frame camera means that the sensor is full frame sensor. Now, I don't know whoever thought of this. I don't know where this came from originally. But when they decided to start making SLR cameras, they decided to make crop sensors. Now, that might not be entirely true because some of your high-end cameras, like your Nikon D4s and your Canon Mark IIIs and Mark IIs, came out with the full frame sensor. But you know you're going to spend anywhere from, what, $3,000 up to $7,000 for one of those cameras? And it's not cheap, right? So we go in and we start looking around for something else, and then they came out with the consumer grade DSLR, right? And I call that the prosumer, is what I call it, because it could be used by professionals, which I've used them my whole career so far. I've used these crop cameras, and there's nothing wrong with them. They work entirely well, and you're probably holding one in your hand right now going, what is this camera? And I'm going to touch base with you on that. Now, so the full frame cameras, or the FX cameras, are these cameras, and there's some more that you may have. In the Nikon line, we're going with the D4, the D3X, the D3S, the D800, the D700, and now the new D600. Those are full frame Nikon lines. Now let's talk about you Canon guys out there, right, and girls. The Canon is EOS-1DX. That's a full frame camera. EOS 5D Mark III and EOS 5D Mark II. Now, what does one thing all these cameras have in common outside being full frame? That's exactly right. You said it. They all have in common the price. The price is steeper on those cameras because you're getting more for your money. So does that mean, Jack, well, to be a professional then, to be a wedding photographer or to be an event photographer or to shoot senior pictures or, models, you have to have a full frame camera? No, you don't. You guys see on Facebook, you do really well with the other cameras. So let's talk about the cropped cameras. What is the cropped cameras and how do they crop? Well, let's look at the Canon line first. The Canon, the first one is APS-H, and that crops by 1.3. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, what that means. Also, the Canon APS-C, and that crops by 1.6. Now, the H is either a 1D or it says a Mark V. Now, the 1.6, now if you have these cameras, I know Kevin has a 7D. There's also the 60D, the T3i, and the T3. These are all cropped sensors. Like I said, we're going to look at that in just a minute. Next, we have a Nikon, the DX line of Nikon cameras, and that crops by 1.5. The D3100, the D5100, and the D7000. Also, some of the other models, the earlier models, the D70, D80, and D90. Those all have a 1.5 crop sensor. Now, with that said, there's certain lenses that go with certain cameras, right? Because they say, well, if you have a cropped camera and you buy a full frame camera, what happens? You have to buy all new lenses? Maybe and maybe not. I've been recently looking at full frame cameras. That's what kind of led me into this discussion this morning. So I wanted to get, do a lot of research on it, naturally, like I do, and a lot of study, and then I want to bring it to you guys. So the lenses on the Nikon side is DX is a crop sensor, and an FX is a full sensor. So if you turn your lens around, it says FX on it, it's a full sensor lens. If it says DX on it, it's a crop sensor lens. On the Canon, it's EF-S is crop sensor, and EF is a full sensor. There you go. With that, everybody following along okay so far? Let's see here. We're just seeing where everybody's at here. All right. Okay, so Jessica, you said you're loving it. Good. Okay, and Jake the Snake's back in there. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on here. Just wanted to check the chat room and see what's going on. Make sure everybody's on base here with me. So, the DX or cropped cameras mean there is a crop sensor. We talked about that. Now, here's how it basically works. If you have a 50 millimeter lens, I'm just going by 50 millimeter because I know it's a prime lens. So you have a 50 millimeter lens on your Nikon camera. That lens is actually shooting at 75 millimeters because you take 50 times 1.5. So you're zooming in, you're cropping that in to a 75 millimeter lens. I mean, you're physically not doing anything. The sensor is doing it because it's a crop sensor. Now you're catching on, right? You're starting to visualize this. Now, if you have a if you have a Canon, so it's 50 millimeters times 1.5 is 75. If you have a Canon, that 50 millimeters would be times 1.6. So it would be an 80 millimeter lens. So it would be out 80 millimeters. Now, this could, in sense, actually help you. And like I said, doing some research with this, let's say, for instance, if we have and I know a lot of you folks out there have the 70 by 300 lens. You may have the 70 by 200 lens. I don't know if Teresa's on here today, but Teresa actually purchased a 24 by 70. Whatever lens you have, if it's a Nikon, times that total zoom, times it by 1.5. If you're a Canon shooter, times it by 1.6. So you see how it helps you? So in essence, a 200 millimeter lens becomes a 300. I think that's correct. On the Canon, it becomes what, like about a 360, something around there. So you actually gain some focal length because you have the crop sensor. So what's the trade-off? Is there any trade-off? Or why are we even bothering talking about this today? Because I'm sure none of us are going to run out and buy a full-frame camera, right? Maybe, maybe not. But like Jessica said, it can help you get that educated step if you go to purchase your next camera, because these full-frame sensors are coming down to the crop sensor price. They're getting so close that now we have to say, wow. You know, it used to be if I'd buy a camera for $1,000 and then the next full-frame camera up was going to be $5,000, I didn't have too much to think about. But now that I can buy a full-frame camera for $1,800, or I can buy my crop sensor for $1,000, $800 could be doable for a lot of people, right? It could be very doable. So what is the trade-off? The trade-off is we're going to lose a little bit of information on your shots. And what I mean by that is anytime you crop, and that's when I teach digital cameras and I teach pocket cameras. When you take that pocket camera and you zoom out, when you get past the optical zoom and you get into the digital zoom, you're losing valuable information, because on those pocket cameras, these sensors are even smaller, folks. So when we get in that digital zoom and we start cropping that picture down digitally, you're losing all kind of information. The same kind of rule applies here. But of course, we shoot with much greater and higher megapixels. It's not going to hurt you too much. But I do have an example here that I'm going to show you what this looks like so you can get a visual and we can actually start to understand this stuff. The next thing I do want to tell you, with a full frame camera, after doing some research, you lose sensor, or you lose noise. You'll get less noise at higher ISO settings. Now, I don't know if that's to be exactly true, but they're claiming you get less noise. And probably the only one I know in here this morning that shoots, as far as I know, full frame is Jake the Snake. I know he has a D700, I believe, that he shoots that is full frame. And maybe he can actually tell us and help us in with that in the chat room if there is less noise at higher ISO settings. So they're claiming these cameras now can go up to 3200 ISO and be relatively no noise, be noise free. So that's something to be said. You know what I'm saying? All right. We're going to look at the chat room here just to see what is happening here. Andy Taylor said not cheap, just buy a wider lens, because you can go wider, because if you get that full frame camera, you know, you have a wider lens, it will work on the crop lens also. And I did read, now I'm a Nikon shooter, you guys know that. And for the Canon guys, don't hold that against me. It's okay. But I did read that the Nikon D600 has a very adaptable system where if you stick a DX lens on it, it knows it's a DX lens, and it will actually turn that sensor onto a DX sensor. That's pretty cool. If you have a full frame lens, that sensor will actually work as a full frame sensor, and you'll get that full frame shot. So that's very interesting. All right, Jeff got in there. I'm sorry it's a struggle there, folks, with the chat room. There has to be more ways to actually work on that. Serena said, where is it written on the camera? Serena, you're going to just have to look up your model of your camera, and it will tell you if it's a... And I don't remember if you're shooting Canon or if you're shooting Nikon. But I'm sure if you put your camera model in here, the chat room will help you out and tell you exactly what it is. That is for sure. Andy said, EF-C lenses will foul the mirror on a full-frame camera. Film camera or older cropped camera such as the 10D. Okay, that's good to know, Andy. So you're saying the EF-C lenses, do not put those on your full-frame camera. I think that's what Andy's saying. You can't clear that up. Let me just run back through here really, really fast and catch up on some of these. Some new people that came through here on the chat room. I think I had Jody, June. I think I had you guys. Sharon, Jeff, and Peter. Also user 1220 and 4995 that just, or 4955 that just got knocked out there somehow or something happened. Okay, we're going to move some windows around now because I want to show you an example that I created for you guys and girls out there to show you what I came out with and how a picture looks as it's cropped in our cameras. You know, we don't really notice it. And to me, like I said, I've shot my whole career a lot of weddings with just a regular D-series Nikon. You know, I started with the D70, D70S, D80s, and now the D7000. Yeah, I skipped the D90 because I didn't see it to be that big of an upgrade from the D80, so I skipped it. Let's see. All right. Yeah, basically, Dawn, you're right, Dawn. Basically, Canons are normally 1.6 as a general rule, so that's very, very good. All right. Go back over here now. We're going to have a little look at this. Just move this over. And we're going to move this over here. Desktop going on here. And we're going to bring this up. All right. Let's see here. Just getting some windows changed around there, folks, and we'll be good to go. This is going to give you a really good idea. To me, I'm a visual kind of guy. Like I'm sure a lot of you are. That's why we're photographers, right? We're visual. And trying to open that up there. Okay. Now, here we go with my little visual demonstration. This obviously is a picture of a full frame camera. Now, by full frame, we mean when we stood at the exact point, these are all from the exact position, the exact same position, using basically a 50mm lens like we've been talking. So we're standing here, we shoot through this opening here, and this is what we come up with on a full frame sensor. Now I'm going to show you, we're going to go to the Nikon sensor, and we're going to go right here. You can see now with the black around the edges, now you wouldn't see the black, but the actual picture inside, I'm showing you how much is cropped off. That's how much is cropped off, and that's the picture you're going to get now with the Nikon because you cropped. It's got a times 1.5. So remember that lens is basically becoming I believe it was a 70mm. That 50 became a 70. Now, so if the 50 became a 70 with a Nikon, then a 1.6 means you're going to be cropped in tighter. All right, you're actually pulling it up even tighter there. So basically, folks, what do we do as photographers using these cameras all this time? We've actually stepped back, right? We stepped out or more back from the scene to capture more of the image. That's what we do. And there's nothing wrong with that. We've been all doing that for a long time. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the Canon picture here. You can see now where it's even more. Here's the Nikon. And we'll click, and there's the Canon. Nikon, Canon. And there's the Canon. It's cropped by 1.6 is how it's cropped. So it's times 1.6, making that lens, in essence, a 80 millimeter. Is that right? 50, 60 to an 80. Let me just regain my notes here. The 50 millimeter is a 75 on the Nikon and an 80 millimeter on a Canon. So that is how we have those lenses. So does it really mean anything? Is there anything different that we should do? The one thing I thought that we could do, if somebody says, you know, a great portrait lens is a 50 millimeter, and you know you have this crop factor, and you have a 24 by 70, just turn that thing down to about 35 millimeters, and then you, in essence, you have a 50 millimeter. You know, but if you start playing with these numbers in your head, I've been doing this for about a week now, and if you start getting these numbers in your head starts to hurt. That's basically what's going to happen there. So all I can tell you there. It's pretty self-explanatory. You guys know what it looks like now, and I didn't mean to confuse anybody with this, but I did want to be able to explain it to you a little bit and show you around these sensors just so you know how it works. I'm just seeing here in the chat room. If you have any questions, please throw them in the chat room. I'd be glad to hear those. Be glad to field those questions right now. Dawn said, Jack, earlier you asked, what do we lose with the crop factor? Because of the crop factor, your 18 millimeter wide angle lens is basically a 29 millimeter lens on a Canon. You're exactly right, Dawn. That is what you're losing. Yeah, you got that dead on. Back here to the long shot. Dawn, you did get that right. So that is what you're losing, folks. You're always losing something. If you have a wide angle lens, I shoot a 12 by 24. I've never really opened up all the way to that 12. That's why I need that basic full sensor lens to get that even wider shot. So, all right. So right now we are going to go ahead. I am going to take our little 3-minute break right now, and I'll be right back. And we're going to talk about contracts, and then I have something interesting to show you that you're going to want to put in your camera bag for under 10 bucks. I'll be right back. I'd like to thank you once again for watching Photography Weekly each and every week. And I wanted to say a special thank you and a little short commercial break here for our sponsors of this show. First and foremost, let me send out my special invitation to you there to come over to jackstechcorner.com. I have a brand new Elements 10 Volume 1 DVD, and it's going for $20. And if you pull down menu down, you'll see a lot of other options in there for you also. Or if you'd rather, instead of learning on a DVD, and if you have high-speed internet, you may want to sign up for one of my online classes. The online classes are there for you, and they are on Lightroom 4 for all. It's a very easy way to learn Lightroom 4. And there is a Elements 10 class, actually the one on DVD, that will be coming out as a online class. So you will have actually that option also. Next, let me thank our friends over at SmugMug. SmugMug is where I do all my professional printing at, and I wish that you would sign up also. If you go to my website, jackstechcorner.com, on the left-hand side there's links. If you click on that link and enter the special code, you'll get a 20% discount. And that's huge because the Pro version is $150. So if you take 20% for that, you're going to be good to go. Save a ton of money and start making money right away. Or you can use them for all your personal printing needs for whatever type of photography printing you want to do. Next, if you do any green screen photography, then check out Ken's site, greenscreenwizard.com. Once again, go to my website, jackstechcorner.com, click on the link on the left, and that way Ken will know that you're coming from Jack's Tech Corner. Once again, that's greenscreenwizard.com for all your green screen photography and now video needs. And a special hello and thank you to our friends over at Amazon.com. If you're buying anything from Amazon, and man, don't we all buy from Amazon anyway? Go to my website, jackstechcorner.com. On the left again, click on the link to go to Amazon before you buy anything. That gives us like a 1% deal there of your total sell. So it helps the site out here. It helps us out, and it keeps it so we can buy new equipment to keep bringing you these great shows and keep on going. So if you're buying from Amazon, just go ahead and click that link and buy as you normally would. And I'd like to thank our HDR sponsors, HDR Soft and Photomatix. Photomatix does a great job. I'm using the Pro version now, Photomatix Pro 4.2, and the Lightroom plugin, and it is absolutely fantastic how it's integrated with Lightroom. So once again, that's Photomatix by HDR Soft, and you'll find those at hdrsoft.com. Download the trial version today. You won't be upset or disappointed. So that's it. Let's get back onto the show here and more learning. Okay, very good. Well, we're back up here. Now, a lot of people there, we're getting a lot of great discussion here in the chat room. And it's always good to have the chat room going here. And Jessica says Photomatix is her favorite software add-on. And Photomatix is a great program, as you've seen with the ad there. Especially, you know, for them to sponsor and to help the show along there with us. So it's a great program. I need to actually try to work out some deals with those guys. See if we get the viewers here anything special off of that. But we'll see how that goes. Okay, gang. So today we're going to talk about, we look here, get this minimized. We're going to be talking about contracts. Now, don't run off, because I know a lot of you don't do professional photography. You don't do weddings. You don't do event photography, and that's just fine. Do you ever take pictures around the schoolhouse? Maybe you have kids in school. You're taking pictures. You're posting those pictures on your website. Still might want to listen to this, because this is some very important stuff to protect you in the future and to make sure you have everything that you need to have in your camera bag when you go on that special shoot. Now, let's face it, folks. I don't like contracts, and I hate the word contract. I actually tend to give the whole entire contract a new word. I call it an agreement, because it's an agreement between you and the other party. You know, that your photography or that you're photographing. That's what it is. It's an agreement. Now, do you need an agreement? Well, yeah, you do need an agreement. Hold on. You do need an agreement. And the reason you need the agreement is to make sure that you are in compliant with what the party wants to do. Let's say for me, being a wedding photographer, when I go out to shoot a wedding, before I go out the morning of the wedding, I have a basic understanding of what the bride and the groom expects of me, what time they expect me to be there, and they know what time I'm going to be there. So everybody's on the same playing field. This is very important for your business. If you're taking senior pictures, you know, you need that contract, because if Jenny Lee's out there and you have her standing on the side of a hill next to a lake, and Jenny Lee slips and falls off the hill into the water, who's responsible for that? You or the mom and dad's insurance? You know, under my contracts, it would be the mom and dad's insurance, not you. Little things we got to worry about that makes a big, huge difference. You know, because a lot of us work out of our homes, you know what I mean? And so I don't want anybody to come back and sue you and take your house, your car, your motorboat, and you wouldn't have a single luxury You'd be like Robinson Crusoe. Oh, never mind. That's a whole nother thing there. But anyhow, you know what I'm saying. You want to protect yourself, and you need to have these contracts. Now, with that said, you also want to know what's expected on the day of the shoot, as we talked about, and payment arrangements and any legal issues that you may know of. Now, we're going to look at my contract, and then I'm going to post it. You guys are free to take it. You can add to it. You can rewrite it. Do whatever you want to do with it. I put in there this morning all the places where your company name or your studio name needs to be put in there. And you could probably even rearrange this a little bit to work as a release. If you're photographing around schools and you're posting pictures on websites, you know, I know at our school it's a good idea to stop by the school and say, hey, I'm going to be taking pictures of the track and field team. Is there anything you know of anybody that don't allow their picture to be published? Because I found when I was doing a book cover one year that there was a couple kids that I could not photograph for whatever reason. And I just said, great, and I stayed clear of those rooms. So with that said, let's go ahead and have a look at my contract here, and we'll see how it all folds out. All right. Okay, so we're going to have a look here at this contract, and I'm going to post this. Now, this is a contract, actually, that is set up for weddings. But I would guess you could rewrite this and use it for pretty much anything you need to use it for. Okay. And Jessica, you may need to get some kind of contract because I know you do a lot of photography work around your schools and other kids. So that might be something you want to think about. Now, let's go ahead and have a look at this contract I brought up on your screen. This is basically my wedding contract, and this is kind of how I've always stayed out of hot water. Let's get started here. This is agreement between the parties. Okay, this is an agreement for wedding pictures to be taken on what date. Now, you have to know the date, right? This is very, very important because what happens if they change the date on you but don't come back and change the contract? Guess what happens, folks? You're going to keep the deposit and you're going to walk away from it because it's their fault. So we have to know the date. Okay, the time we will begin taking pictures. Again, very, very important. Because even weddings, I'm referring to weddings because that's what I do. Let's say senior pictures, school portraits, whatever you're doing. You want to know what time you're going to start. We generally start 2 hours before the wedding even gets underway because I want to get the bride getting ready and all that stuff. Followed by a reception at what time? Sometimes reception's a couple hours later. You want to make sure you're there when they walk through the door. It's pretty important stuff. Next, this contract is for wedding pictures or senior pictures or whatever else you're taking taken by your company name for the wedding or senior pictures. Like I said, change this however you want to, of blank and blank. I put that in because I want the bride and the groom's name. I don't want the bride and the mother's name. I don't want the bride's dad and mother's name because that's who's paying the bill. I want the wedding of the bride and the groom's name. Now the couple, the two people, agrees and they understand that your company, right, does not guarantee every shot to any level. Okay, so what does that mean, guys? You know what it means. You go out there, you take a shot, you get home, you're like, holy cow, my flash didn't go off. The picture's dark, we brighten it up, it's got noise in it, looks like crap, it's not guaranteed to any level. Just kind of protects you. Not that you guys and girls are not fabulous photographers, famous photographers out there. I know you're doing a great job. This just protects you in case something happens. I've had it happen. Be careful. All right. Pictures will be taken at the best. Let's see. Yeah, I hope I'm not coming in and out. Hopefully that's going to be better, Kevin. We'll see how that works out for you. Okay. I think the timing was off a little bit on my one of my boxes here. So let's go on. The couple pictures to be taken the best possible angles and best possible lighting available at the time of the shooting. Your company agrees to take pictures requested by the bride and groom as long as it does not endanger the photographer or place your equipment in any danger. Why did I write that in there? Because one time they asked me, can I go up on the peak of the roof and shoot down into the bridal party? You've seen them shots, you know, where you get up on a balcony, it looks cool. I am not hanging off of a roof for anyone. Sorry, not happening. So under my contract, I determined that it is in my best interest to be able to say I don't want to do that. Now, this contract covers the photo shoot to include all wedding pictures during the ceremony as allowed by the church. Folks, this is very important. I don't know if you've ever shot a wedding, but I've went into a church before, and I think it was a priest at the time, told me, please do not get on the altar at all during the ceremony. For whatever reason, that's kind of his sanctuary, and he doesn't want me interfering with the wedding, so they don't want you up around the altar. And afterwards, he said, then we will reenact things and we can take some pictures in, which is perfectly fine, but make sure you know what's coming off before you start. Alright, then the formal poses and also the wedding. So we're just laying out exactly what we're going to be doing here. And see, Jody said that is a Catholic thing. So, and I do find it more in Catholic churches, but I never pick out one religious or the other. The final pictures. Now you're getting into what is your responsibility as a photographer. Mine is the final pictures are going to be done within 2 weeks after the wedding. Pictures will be placed on a photo development website, wherever you want to do. You can word that however you want. And any pictures ordered will require payment in full for the processing of the pictures. The reason I put that in is because it's handled by SmugMug now. It's handled by my online developer. I don't do it. So that's in there so they know clear cut what it is. And folks, believe me, I don't like contracts. I don't like agreements. But you know what I hate even worse? I don't like lawsuits. I don't want to get in one, and I don't want to have to try to bail my butt out of it and backpedal saying, I thought. No. We didn't think we said anything. Now, with that said, let's go on here. The charge of your price, whatever you charge, put it in the agreement. Is only to cover whatever it covers. Mine covers time and 4x6 prints or proofs. I have to change this. If you've been looking at my Memories by Jack website recently, you'll notice on there that I changed it because now I have 3 packages that I created, because people like packages better than just buying them offline. They want you to decide what they should have, and you set a price for that. So now I have that, so I'll change that. All printed pictures should be ordered. Or all printed pictures ordered will be an additional charge. Make sure you have this in there. How many times people come to me and said, oh my God, you charge X amount of dollars and you gave us our 4x6s. We thought that included, 14, 11 by 14s. We wanted 10, 20 by 30s. And I was like, are you out of your mind? So it's in here. It's safe. We know it's there. To secure the date of your wedding, signing this contract, you are required to deposit half down. Anybody watching this show, if you do not require half, you're not looking out for your fellow photographer. The reason I say that is I know people out there that will take $100 down, and then Grandpa buys a camera, and guess what? Those people don't care about $100. They just spent $20,000 for a wedding. $100, not much of their budget. They will leave you go for that price. If you take half down, half of your payment. So let's say if you charge $2,000 for a wedding, half is $1,000. You will be going to that wedding. I guarantee it. And you will make your other $1,000. Or, $500 down. The other half is $500 for $1,000. Whatever you charge and however you do that. Make sure you get half down. And it is non-refundable unless, here's the only reasons this is actually refundable. It's non-refundable unless you break your leg, you do not have another qualified photographer as qualified as you can send out there. Make sure you trust them when you send them out with your camera. You know, don't send Bobby out and Bobby's shooting pictures and they look like crap. Guess who's responsible? You are, right? You know, even though we have that line there, the pictures are not shot or not guaranteed every shot to every level. You're pretty sure, and I know everybody on this chat room right now, I could feel pretty confident that 98% of your pictures are going to be excellent and perfect and well lit, and everything's going to be perfect composition, and I know you'll be fine. If you send Uncle Bobby out there that's never shot anything but a Kodak instant camera, maybe not so fine. So be careful what you guys are doing, right? I would rather cancel. I give them their deposit back, and I am good to go. I'm happy with that. It's never happened, but you do have that option if something comes up. The full payment of half is due, and I have in here the day of the wedding. Change that, because the full payment of half is due a week before, or the week of the wedding, not the day of the wedding. Here's what happens the day of the wedding. Bride and groom dancing, mom's dancing, dad's dancing, they're all drinking, they're partying down, you know, they're jamming. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news and walk up and say, excuse me, we are leaving for the day. Can I please have my final check? They don't know where their checkbook is. You know, the bride usually loses her shoes somewhere during the wedding. So make that, and I changed it now to the week of the wedding. So I expect this, the wedding's on a Saturday. I expect to have that check in my hand by Wednesday or Thursday is fine. Then everything's paid up and everybody's good to go. Make the checks payable to your name unless you have a fictitious name form. That's what you need in the state of Pennsylvania. I don't know what you need in the state of any other place where everybody's watching this from. Or you need some type of a business or a tax license to have your name in there. Such as we own Memories by Jack. We own that business name, so I can have them put that on the check and I'm good to go. But if not, have them put your name on. You know, Sally Struthers. Put your name on there and you can take that check to the bank. Last part. By signing this contract, all parties agree to never bring, remember this, by signing this contract, all parties agree to never bring any legal issues or lawsuits against your company name for reasons of this photo shoot. And your company name agrees to be at the wedding and reception to photograph the event on the times given in this contract by the bride and or the groom. Now, with that said, that pretty much is going to keep you out of hot water. Even if you go to small claims court, this thing does not have to be notarized. It does have to be a legal document. This is a signed contract or signed agreement between two parties, you and them. Make sure you take 2 copies with you, folks. Take 2 copies. Do not take 1 copy. You know, you don't keep this. We get a copy. They get a copy. There is a better program out there I found if you have an iPad. There is a contract program out there, and for the life of me, I don't remember the name of it right now, but if you search on the iPad under apps for photography agreement or photo agreement, it will cover everything. It even has basic ones in there for signing release forms. If you're doing models, I know some of you out there shoot models. Make sure you get a release form that says, hey, I can use your picture anywhere I want to use it, on my website, in my portfolio, in my printed publications. Just have that listed and let them sign it. You know what I mean? And you'll be good to go. So, okay. So Jessica says this is a lot to think about. It is a lot to think about. But this is important stuff. That's why I wanted to bring it to your attention today and show you. Let me bring this one up. I wanted to bring this to your attention today and show you the importance of this. I mean, like I said, none of us, I hate sitting down with the bride and the groom. They're all happy and woo-doo-doo, we're getting, then you're like, it's, oh, here's your mortgage payment, you know, here's your wedding contract. But I guarantee you that the caterers have some kind of agreement with the bridal party. The florist has some kind of agreement. Everybody has an agreement. Keep your butt out of hot water, and better yet, keep your butt out of court. Wonder if they come back from the honeymoon and get divorced and they're trying to recoup all their money? They're suing you. They can't now. So, and if they never buy a picture after this, you're still pretty much covered. Okay, so now what I wanted to do before we do our tribute to our patterns assignment, which was last week, which was a great assignment. We had some great pictures turned in. It was really nice to see all those. We are going to come over here, and I'm going to do some show and tell. We like show and tell, right? We want to have things in our camera bag. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. I know as more and more you watch this show, you start to get to the point where you start wanting to buy more and more stuff. Now, why? Why do we do that? Because we wouldn't be photographers if we didn't have stuff, right? And this is the kind of stuff that I look for to make my life easier and to make things more portable. All right. Let's see. Andy Taylor asked if I have my new tripod yet. Yep, that was going to be in the show today, but didn't make it. So that's going to make it probably be my show and tell for next week. But this week we're going to talk about a GorillaPod. This is a GorillaPod. See how this looks in here. And you've all seen these before, I'm sure. I'm sure you all seen GorillaPods before. These are great little tripods. These are not tripods made for sitting and putting your camera on it and taking a picture. That is not what this thing is made for. What I bought this thing for, and actually bought 3 of them, is basically I bought it for my flashes. Let's say you don't have light stands. I put 2 of these now. I bought 3 of these. 2 of these are in my camera case. Why? Because when I'm out, sometimes I don't have a light stand, right? I'm not going to carry my light bag everywhere I go. Like some of my friends on here, Fabian, he likes to carry his light case around, and I know you do. Let's say I have this and the light case is in the trunk of my car, but we're out and we have this thing. Here's what we can do. If I have an umbrella bracket, all right, this is another part here, show and tell. We've seen these before on my shows. We can screw this umbrella bracket right to our GorillaPod. All right, works very well. So we do that. We could put an umbrella in here. All right. We loosen this a little bit. We drop our umbrella, our flash down here. Here's our flash. And we'll just loosen this up a little bit. I'll just stick this in there. Turn this down. And now, if you have somebody helping you out, you now have a portable umbrella light stand, right? They can hold this up like this. Well, it would actually be like this. And the umbrella would be up here on this side, and you can shoot and you can reflect your light down. That's one way to use them. A little bit heavy. Wouldn't be my first way I want to use them, but it does work. Next way to use it. Let's take this off. And these just screw off here. This is threaded on the bottom, if you can see that. And this has a thread on here. It also, and I like these ones. I'm going to tell you here, let me give you a little background. I looked for these things when I first wanted them on Amazon. Don't go there. Amazon, they're the cheapest you're going to find is I think 18 to 20 bucks. I got them for $6.25 with free shipping. It's got the little striker pad, I call it. Right. What you would use is your flash. Take this part of your flash, okay, the little thing that we never really know what to do with. You can screw that on here. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to try this today too, because I'm going to try to do some lighting outside, and I got some ideas for this. So we put that on there, then we just put our flash on here, and now we can stick this thing wherever you want it. You can wrap it around a tree and then have some light on your subject wherever you may want to go. You can also use this in your studio. You can wrap this around I use it around my backdrop stand, and then I put this down and I have a hair light, so it's on my backdrop stand out of the way. I don't need a light stand. So that's a GorillaPod. I will put that in the show notes. You can buy them for $6.25. I don't know who the guy is. We have no agreement between each other. I just wanted to show this to you because sometimes when I like a product, I share it with you guys. You can buy it also. And for $6.25, buy one, throw it in your bag. You know, you can also put your camera on there if you wish. It makes a nice little stable platform for your camera, because you can always mount this to your camera, right? And say you're at a beach somewhere, you're at a pier, hook this around the pier, and then you got a good stable place there. Put your camera on f22, right? Set your shutter speed down to 20 and start clicking away. It's not going to move. So, once again, that's it. Okay, so Flyer here said on Amazon he just seen them for $13, but they are, and I'll put it in the show here, I'll put it on the notes, that you can buy these things for $6.25 off of eBay. I bought 3 of them. The guy had them to me in about 4 days. I had them in my hand. Sent them right to my P.O. box, so he will ship wherever you want them shipped to. And you're right, Dina, it's very clever. It's a little, little tripod used for so much stuff. Like I said, I'm going to try it today because I get tired of carrying my light stands around. So we're going to try this out. Jessica, or Jake the Snake, you're right. The App Store has a photographer's contract maker. And Jake, if you could throw in the chat room what the name of that is for the iPad. What's the name of that program? They have a light version which allows you, I believe, to do 10 contracts. And that thing's neat because what happens with that is you have the whole contract laid out, they read it, and when they sign it with their finger and you sign it with your finger, you hit email, they get emailed a PDF, and then you get to keep it in your contract on your iPad. There's no paper to carry around, so I do like that. Also, I think next week, once I get a couple of kinks worked out of it, I'm going to introduce you folks to a way that you can take credit cards. And you don't need a mercantile account. That's a big thing. Oh, man, I had a business. I know all about merchant accounts and how much the banks charge you to take credit cards. You might as well give the bank the camera, let them take the picture if you're going to do that. But I found a very inexpensive way to take credit cards. It's really free on your part. And they only charge you a very small percentage when you swipe somebody's card. And it's used on the iPhone and the Android phone. And they just sign their name. You punch in how much your pictures were for the day. Your photo shoot. So you go out, it's like seeing your pictures. It's $100 to do the shoot. Mom hands you a credit card. You can do it right out the shoot. Swipe, sign, done. Okay, so I'll show you that next week. We'll talk about that a little bit. And Jake the Snake said that program's called Photographer's Contract Maker, and it's Michael the Maven. Michael the Maven. Yeah, and that info is going to be good, Jody. I mean, if you guys do any shooting, I found that people, if you go out somewhere and you say, hey, this shoot's $150, for people to come with that kind of cash today, and my dad even says, I always say, Dad, we're not in a recession because everybody's outside. They're all at the restaurants eating, right? There's no recession, but people are using credit cards more and more, and they just like the convenience of it. They don't have to get cash out of the bank before they meet you for your senior pictures. Just swipe their card and you're good to go. So you will be good and on top of it. And also, if you have not done so yet, I did put up on the Facebook group. If you're not on the Facebook group, you can join us. Just search under groups for Jack's Tech Corner. But I put under there a folder that says textures and patterns. What that folder is for you guys. I know you took a lot over the week. 2 weeks, actually. We had a little break there because of my anniversary week. But go ahead and upload those pictures to there. If you have backgrounds and textures, we'd love to get a nice collection going. And by all means, anybody in here listening, you can always go there and download those and then use them in your pictures also. So with that said, what is the assignment for this week? Well, it came to my attention, and it was a really, really good idea. And I'll give Kira, I won't give you her last name, but Kira's her first name. We work with her. And she gave me this idea the other day. She said, Jack, what if we had a editing, not a contest, but an editing, how did she put it? An editing challenge. Now, I'm going to do the challenge this week. Now, I'm putting it out there to everybody for next week. We're going to maybe do this again coming up very soon. Is look for pictures out there that you would want other people in this show to actually touch and edit, and we're going to see what people come up with and putting pictures, and editing your pictures. And the reason we want to do that is because I want to get a feel for your talents, which I'm sure is amazing out there. Everybody's a great talent. And I don't care what editor you're using. If you don't have Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, this is a photography show. Remember, this used to be called Photoshop Elements Weekly. Well, this is now Photography Weekly because you can use whatever you want. Give us your best guess at a beautiful edit job, and then we're going to put them back. This week, you're going to see, I hope by tomorrow, I hope I can get it done by then, I'm going to post 3 pictures that I'm taking. And I think I'll actually go out and take those today. Hopefully it's not too cold out there. I'll get 3 pictures. I'm going to post them. It's your job to put those 3 pictures into an edit together using those 3 pictures. And don't make it easy, folks. Don't just take these 3 pictures and put 1, 2, 3 on a piece of white background. Think about it. I want you to merge the pictures together and do something creative with them, and we'll see what you come up with. And then put them back in the folder for this week's assignment. So, Jake the Snake, will they be raw? I'm gonna say no, Jake. I'm not gonna send raw images out because I don't know what programs people are using, and I don't think that would be a, even though I am shooting all raw, I don't want to send it out that way because it's, if we're using a free editor, it might not open the picture, so that's not gonna be too good. But it was a good question, Jake. I appreciate that. So, folks, let's see here. Put both. Okay, that's fair, Jake. I'll put both up. I'll do RAW and JPEG. There'll be 3 pictures. I'm taking them. I'm not telling you what they're going to be of. And actually, I probably don't even know what they're going to be of here. That might be a problem too, Jake. They might not take raw images. Good point, Jessica. We'll have to see how that works. I don't know. A lot of places won't accept raw because they're too big. We'll see how that works out. Or if you guys all have, where I can put those, I'll put a link to, I'll know what I'll do. I'll put a link to my public Dropbox folder. That's where the raw images will be. And I'll put it up on our Facebook group. So you'll have a link, click at, you go in and download it. Matter of fact, maybe I'll put them all in there, make it real easy to download those pictures. So there you go. Okay, hang in there if you want to chat a little bit. I'm going to go down, fill the coffee cup up here, and come back. I can talk to you guys for a little bit this morning if you want to hang in there. If you have some questions about today's topics, think about those and bring them up. If not, and I'll see you back in here next time, right here on Jack's Tech Corner and another Photography Weekly. Well, hey, I'd like to thank each and every one of you out there this week for joining me here for another Photography Weekly and on Jack's Tech Corner. I appreciate you coming by each and every Sunday. I hope that I gave you some information new, or maybe I refreshed some old information in your head that you're going to need to know. And I hope I showed you some new toys to rush out and buy. Hey, it's all about what's in the bag, right? So that makes us a better photographer, does it? Who knows? But it is about the toys. So until next time, as always, keep your shutters clicking, keep your editors editing, and I'll see you back here again on Jack's Tech Corner for another Photography Weekly next Sunday. So long for now.